One of the two self-described bail agents involved in a shooting death in Palm Springs makes their first court appearance, but Lisa Vargas did not enter a plea today. Her arraignment has now been postponed. She's facing several charges, including murder. Vargas is accused of helping her son, Fabian Herrera, who shot and killed David Spann while acting as an unlicensed bail agent. Herrera has pled not guilty.
And that case has brought confusion over the past month about how bail agents operate. Last night, you saw Kitty Alvarado's ride along with a team of bounty hunters. And tonight, we explored the details of the Palm Springs case through the eyes of that team. Our Kitty Alvarado joins us live now from our satellite center with her exclusive report.
Well, this case is complicated, but can be made clearer by understanding the job of a bounty hunter or recovery agent. Bounty hunters watching this case are watching it very closely. They think it may bring about regulation. The criminal defense attorney we spoke with says this case is more about self-defense and who gets to use it, and the bounty hunter element has only muddied the waters.
Get out of here now! Get out of here!
The job of a bail recovery agent or bounty hunter is to find felons who violated the terms of their bail contracts for a cut of the bail money put up by a bail bondsman. The contracts people sign to bail themselves or someone out of jail allow recovery agents to track them down by any means necessary, including search their homes, properties, cars, and use surveillance. It's legal.
They sign away certain rights and they call it like a waiver.
People often confuse recovery agents with the job of a bail bondsman.
Recovery agents don't have a licensing agency.
Bail bondsmen are licensed and regulated. Bounty hunters aren't, but they are certified after completing courses required by the state.
Bail agents a different field altogether than what we do. So bail agency license does not have anything to do with the ability to go out and do future recovery work.
This confusion has led to a lot of questions following the arrest of a bounty hunter accused of fatally shooting a Palm Springs man he was supposed to recover. Agent Newman says this case has rocked the recovery industry.
I was actually really surprised. I didn't think that it would go that far.
According to Palm Springs police, in the early morning hours of April 23rd, Fabian Herrera, a bail recovery agent, shot and killed 33-year-old David Spann in his home in Palm Springs during a recovery operation. At one point, Spann called 911, and Herrera also called police to ask for help. We obtained a copy of Spann's GPS monitoring device contract that's part of his bail agreement. Numa speculates Spann was in violation, and a recovery agent was sent in.
It seemed like it went from a situation where it was a small misdemeanor to the person being distraught for some reason to it escalating to a fatal use of force.
Police were there, but say it was Herrera who fired the fatal shot. They also say officers did not go there to back up the recovery agent, but to answer a call for service. Herrera has said through his attorney, Spann lunged at them with a knife and police told him to shoot.
I think something went wrong. There was some miscommunication that night. Maybe the bounty hunter might not have been experienced enough to know when to stand down and retreat. I wasn't there, so I don't know what could have been done differently.
Herrera was arrested and charged with murder, being a felon in possession of a firearm, ammunition, and body armor.
He should not have been there with a firearm that night.
Numa says the issue started the moment Herrera got a gun.
Bounty hunters don't usually get arrested for doing their job. He had a prior felony conviction.
Numa says he's never been told to fire his weapon by a law enforcement officer, and they've worked with local police, U.S. Marshals, and Homeland Security.
Never. Typically what happens in whenever law enforcement shows up, the scene's turned over to law enforcement and we step back and we don't get involved.
Herrera's mother was also arrested after a month-long search. Police say she was there. Agent Numa says it may sound strange, but it's legal.
As far as bringing his mom along, there's a Penal Code Section 839 that allows a person who's making an arrest to summons anybody to assist them during the performance of that arrest. It used to be known as posse comitatus.
Palm Springs police say their officers have been cleared of any wrongdoing by investigating agencies. Herrera's attorney wants the body camera footage released. Criminal defense attorney David Greenberg says in his 30 years of practicing law, including 20 with the district attorney's office, he's never seen a case quite like this.
It's really crazy.
But from a legal standpoint, he thinks it will come down to a self-defense issue.
Who gets it and when? Because if you believe that the victim in this case lunged at Mr. Herrera or an officer with a knife, then they're allowed to use lethal force to defend themselves, period. But it doesn't start there. It starts with Mr. Herrera getting into the house because Mr. Span would have had the right self-defense to defend himself against an intruder. We know there was no warrant. Turns out that folks don't really spend enough time on the fine print of these bail contracts, that when you sign the contract to let the bail bondsman bail you out, you agree to letting that bail bondsman enter your residence with or without notice to effectuate an arrest or call that bond, which it may be what was going on here, why Mr. Herrera was there in the first place.
Numis says bounty hunters are paying close attention to this case.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Because this may bring about some change, some that he welcomes, starting with having a main registry and regulatory agency for bail recovery agents.
An eye-opener as to whether or not there needs to be more regulation or oversight, or if it was even preventable.
And Herrera is scheduled to return to court on July 12th for a preliminary hearing. We will be following this case closely. Stay with NBC Palm Springs for updates. Live in the Satellite Center, Kitty Alvarado, back to you in the studio.
Well, it's official.